The Old Town Hostel in Edinburgh is known for its charm and history, but behind its walls lies a dark secret. In 2015, Sophie, a young traveler, booked a bed in the hostel's oldest room, unaware of its haunted reputation. Her first night was peaceful, but on the second night, things started to feel off. Sophie awoke to hear the sounds of footsteps in the hallway, but when she looked, no one was there. On the third night, the events escalated. Sophie was awoken by a cold breath on her neck, and when she turned around, she saw a shadowy figure standing near her bed, a faint outline of a man with an eerie, empty stare. The figure disappeared before Sophie could react. Terrified, Sophie confronted the staff, who informed her that the room was known to be haunted by the spirit of a man who died in the hostel in the 1800s. Guests who have stayed in the room have reported hearing footsteps, feeling cold drafts, and seeing ghostly figures in the night. Hostel 19 in Berlin is a favorite among backpackers, but its history is anything but welcoming. In 2012, James, a traveler from Australia, checked into the hostel late at night after a long bus ride. The staff assigned him to a room that seemed to have a strange vibe, but he thought little of it. As he unpacked his things, James noticed that the mattress on his bed had an odd stained arc, red and circular. He shrugged it off as an old stain from a previous guest. However, as night fell and the hostel grew quieter, things took a horrifying turn. In the middle of the night, James woke up to a sharp pain in his leg, as though something was gripping it tightly. When he looked down, he saw a pale, thin hand gripping his leg, emerging from under the bed. Panicking, James jumped out of bed and fled the room. When he went to the front desk for help, the receptionist looked at him with a grim expression and said, "You're not the first one to experience this." James later learned that a violent murder had occurred in the room many years ago, with the victim's blood staining the mattress. The restless spirit still lingers, reaching out for its next victim. Hostel 8 in Lisbon had always been a welcoming place for travelers until Emily, a solo traveler from the US, had an unforgettable experience in 2017. Emily was assigned to a small, quiet room on the top floor. That first night, she noticed nothing out of the ordinary until she began to hear scratching noises from the walls. Assuming it was just the building settling, Emily tried to sleep, but the scratching continued, growing louder and more frantic. On the third night, she was woken up to what felt like someone breathing down her neck. She turned to find nothing, but the temperature in the room had dropped significantly, and the scratching intensified. Emily finally opened the door to confront whoever was making the noise, only to find an empty hallway. But as she stepped back into her room, the door slammed shut behind her with a loud bang. Desperate, she confronted the staff, and they revealed the horrifying truth. The room was once the scene of a violent tragedy. A previous guest had committed suicide in the room, and ever since, the hostel had been plagued by strange, unexplained noises and incidents. Guests who stayed in that room reported being touched by invisible hands, hearing whispers, and feeling an overwhelming sense of dread.